Testimony for Real Lives Beyond LGBTIQ Ideologies. Jeremy Bate. Wisdom 13. But all men are in vain, in whom there is not the knowledge of God, and who by these good things that are seen could not understand him that is, neither by attending to the works have acknowledged who was the workman. I grew up amidst increasing leftist propaganda in school, media, PC culture. It was considered wrong not to accept LGBT ideology, despite coming from a Christian family. After years of gender confusion, I was misled through books and psychologists into transitioning. 20 years later, I questioned what I thought I knew about science, politics, then transgender medicine. I detransitioned. I found out my gender confusion was caused by the drug DES, diethylstilbestrol, a potent estrogen and anti-miscarriage drug that was given to millions of women between the 1940s and 1970s, and stopped after it was found to cause more miscarriages than it prevented, when it was positively identified as the cause of a rare cancer cluster in DES daughters. I was angry at being used as a guinea pig in what amounted to a program of mass feminization of males for decades. When I transitioned, the contributing factors were not found: autism spectrum or DES. I came back to Christ 3 months later, after hearing about reparative therapy, undoing the myth of born that way for homosexuality. I realized the church wasn't hateful and bigoted as I'd been led to believe. It was the last stumbling block that prevented me from returning to the faith I grew up in. LGBT and gender ideology, I discovered, were counter to natural law and dishonourable. I reserve the right to hold such views, which are neither hateful or bigoted, but in love and honour of our Creator. We cannot be mandated to believe otherwise. We need to protect children from the ravages of gender ideology that is destroying lives, by confusing them into believing gender is how you feel on the inside, pushing them into damaging hormonal treatments and later surgery that so many regret. It undermines parental authority and tears families apart. Children are being coerced into transitioning by the so-called best practice affirming model, which is against the best evidence that found they grow out of it when left alone. It doesn't look for causes such as trauma and ignores contributing factors such as autism. Drag queen storytime is one of the methods to indoctrinate children, as the books promote LGBT and gender ideology. Such an event is scheduled for the 27th of February as part of Albany Pride. Wisdom 14:26. Forgetfulness of God, defiling of souls, changing of nature, disorder in marriage, and the irregularity of adultery and uncleanness. The LGBT ideology is part of the same Marxist, anti-family, anti-Christian movement, shifting the world to the left into globalism and increasing tyranny. The power of God is the barrier to their agenda of domination in an age-old spiritual battle. I am no longer inclined to blame people, including the medical profession and psychologists, for believing the LGBT ideology, realizing they are misled like many of us have been. By speaking the truth, the lies their ideologies are based on can be unravelled. LGBT ideology is based on falsehoods from Kinsey onwards, such as the born that way myth, the gay gene myth, the 10% myth, the change is not possible myth, and the born in the wrong body myth. I stay strong by being grounded in faith in Jesus Christ. The recent conversion therapy laws serve to further strengthen the myths and indoctrination, and give a weapon to activists to use against Christians. The laws contravene the therapeutic relationship, which is supposed to be client-driven, but no longer if the client has unwanted gender confusion or same-sex attraction. I was already finding it problematic in finding suitable counselling, as many psychologists have bought into the LGBT ideology, leaving me to rely on my faith and ex-LGBT peers for support. But such laws are even a threat to that by causing a climate of intimidation. They are a clear breach of civil liberty, unsurprising in the current era of ascending Marxism. But faith dwarfs that ideology, saving us from fear of persecution and giving us the grace of forgiveness, which hopefully leads to the conversion of souls by the power of God. Thank you.